Have you ever sat in the middle of a noisy party, looking at the fake smiles surrounding you and asking yourself, why do I feel this extremely out of place? You watch the people around you connect so easily, while you feel like a ghost observing an awkward play. Is there something wrong with you? Are you too hard to approach? Or is this society deliberately trying to cast you out? The world is always whispering in your ear that the lonely person is the failed one. But Machiavelli would laugh at that naivete. The bitter truth is, this sheep always move together, while eagles are always alone. If your social circle is shrinking to zero, it is not because you lack social skills, but because you possess a kind of sharp awareness that terrifies mediocre people. You cannot fit in simply because you cannot lower your frequency to a cheap enough level to squeeze yourself into meaningless small talk. It is time to stop blaming yourself and start looking straight at the truth. In this video, we will strip bare 5 rare traits, the psychological weapons that Machiavelli believed exist only in those who lead the very things that are turning you into an outsider in the eyes of the crowd, while making you the king of your own world. Watch until the end, because once you understand this, you will no longer try to be liked, but will know how to be feared. Ruthless truth. Most people spend their entire lives performing in a play they never wrote. They smile when necessary, nod when told to, and cling to one another like drowning people clutching at rotten pieces of wood. Machiavelli left behind a cold warning. The crowd is only concerned with appearances and the outcome, but you are different. You do not see through the blind eyes of the masses. You feel this world with your bare hands, reaching directly into the hidden corners that others are always trying to conceal. Your loneliness is not a mistake of creation. It is a strategic choice made by the subconscious. When you walk into a room, your stillness and your ability to observe down to the deepest core of the soul unintentionally become a mirror. The people in front of you feel uneasy, not because you do anything to them, but because your presence strips away their cheap masks, their clumsy lies, and the emptiness inside their souls. They fear you because they cannot control you. They distance themselves from you because they cannot pull you into their petty power games. You are not alone because you are inadequate. You are alone because you are too grounded in reality in a world overflowing with illusions. Accept this brutal truth: the peak is always windswept, and those who possess the mind of a ruler will never find comfort in noisy crowds. You are the observer, the mirror, and the secret fear of those who are living by lies. Do you have enough courage to face the traits that are separating you from this world? Leave your own mark in the comments to prove your courage. Now, let us begin. The ability to observe objectively from the position of an outsider. Imagine yourself sitting in a bar in New York or in the lobby of a tech company in Silicon Valley. Around you, the crowd is in a frenzy, clinking glasses, making small talk, laughing about trivial things, and you sit there in silence, a glass of whiskey in your hand, feeling like a ghost piercing through their layers of masks. People look at you and whisper, "That guy is weird. Is he socially autistic? Or an outsider?" They pity you, but what they do not know is that while they are busy performing, you are the only one holding the script in your hands. If you feel like you have no friends, do not rush to feel ashamed, because you possess one of the rare traits of a ruler, the ability to observe objectively from the position of an outsider. Let us travel back in time to the year 1513. To a remote farm in San Casciano, Machiavelli, after being expelled from Florentine politics, lived in absolute solitude. He did not complain, and he did not beg for pity. During the day, he immersed himself among the peasants to observe the naked instincts of human nature. At night, he put on formal clothes and entered his study to converse with the ancient sages. It was precisely being pushed out of the vortex of power, being stripped of every flattering social connection, that gave him a razor-sharp pair of eyes to see through the rotten nature of politics. If he had remained in the court, he would have been nothing more than a puppet on strings. But when he stood alone on the mountaintop of solitude, he wrote The Prince, the book that made the whole world tremble. Machiavelli taught us one core principle to truly understand the nature of the valley. One must stand on the high mountaintop. Isolation is not a defect. It is a strategy of separation to see clearly. The crowd out there always acts according to herd instinct. They fear being abandoned, so they struggle to become alike. Their deep fear of isolation causes them to lose the ability to think independently. But you accept the price of loneliness in exchange for ultimate clarity. You are not out of place. You are simply standing far enough away to clearly see the puppets being pulled by ego and greed. Apply this ability to real life in order to protect yourself. The next time you walk into a group or a new company, do not rush to make friends or strive to be liked. Play the role of a cold outsider. Observe, who is the one holding the real power, who is flattering others just to survive, who is hiding jealousy behind a smile. When you have no emotional attachment to anyone, you will not be dragged into useless factions. This insight is the weapon that helps you stand on the summit of glory. While everyone else is panicking over unexpected upheavals, you have already predicted them long ago through the data you gathered while standing outside the game. Do not let the crowd's mockery shake you. They laugh at your solitude because they cannot bear to face themselves. They are like the characters in the Matrix, clinging to a false reality because they fear the bitter truth. But you are the one who chose the red pill. You possess this rare trait because you do not need a herd to validate your worth. I want you to question yourself right now. Are you truly lonely? Or are you simply standing far enough away to see the puppets being pulled? Leave the comment, "I coo's in sight," to affirm that you are ready to shed your old shell. Remember, real power always begins with silence and observation. Absolute self-mastery in isolation. Imagine that you are a quarterback standing in the middle of a stadium with tens of thousands of piercing screams pouring down from the stands. When the opening whistle blows, the whole world seems to collapse around you. Giants from the opposing side are charging at you with one goal, only to slam you to the turf. In that fateful moment, you are completely alone. Your teammates are busy fighting their own battles, and no one can help you make the final decision. You have to endure the suffocating pressure by yourself, read the game by yourself, and throw the decisive pass by yourself. Isolation on the field is not a weakness, it is the highest privilege of the one holding the ball. If you cannot endure the feeling of standing alone in the middle of the siege, you will never be able to lead the team to glory. People on the outside look at your life with few friends and judge it through cheap, negative assumptions. They think you have no one backing you, that you are alone, so you are easy to bully. Or worse, that you are a failure with no teamwork skills. Modern society in America keeps injecting into our minds the idea that a man's value lies in the number of alliances he has. But what is the truth? The crowd goes to one another because they are afraid. They need pats on the back to feel that they exist. And you possess a quiet pride because you know that every time you fall, the only name you need to call is your own. You can feel the weight on your shoulders growing steadier and stronger through every lonely, sleepless night. In his masterpiece, Machiavelli emphasized the concept of virtù, personal capability and strength of character. He asserted that a man's character must be strong enough to master fortuna, the uncertainty of luck. A person who truly possesses virtù never places his life in the hands of others. This philosophy leads to a core principle, psychological self-sufficiency. Real power does not come from the number of allies you have in your contacts. It comes from your ability to survive without needing any of them. Why do people crave groups? Because deep down, there is a fear of being cast out, a fear of having to face their own weakness when there is no help available. The crowd is the shelter of those who fear responsibility. If you have few or no friends, there is a very good chance that you possess this rare trait. Machiavelli and absolute self-mastery is exactly what makes you unbeatable. Turn your current loneliness into a high-intensity training room. Learn how to solve every problem on your own, from complex professional skills to personal psychological crises. When you do not depend on anyone, no one can use help as leverage to blackmail you or manipulate your will. Do not be like those 20-year-old guys who complain on social media all day just to seek sympathy. Sympathy does not help you pay bills, and it does not help you build an empire. Once you have mastered yourself, controlling and leading others becomes nothing more than a matter of technique. You do not need someone backing you because your own spine has already been forged from cold steel. Carry out a small ritual right now. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, if tomorrow everyone around you turned their backs on you at the same time, how much of your strength would remain? If the answer is 100%, then you have reached the level of a true Machiavellian. Do not be afraid when you see yourself standing outside shallow pleasures. Remember that the strongest person is the one who can stand firmly alone the best. I want you to hit like on this video right now as a pact with yourself. Come back here and listen to this part every day until it sinks into your blood and flesh, so that you can make use of this rare trait and truly become the king of your own world. This self-mastery is a secret that the majority out there will never understand. Do not explain, act. The strategy of silence and calculated mystery. Why is it that the most enduring dynasties have always been hidden behind tightly sealed walls? In a world where everyone is rushing to spill their guts in exchange for a few interactions, your silence is a heavy weapon. A person with no friends is a person with no information leaks. Mystery makes opponents afraid and forces enemies to keep guessing. You do not lack friends. You are simply practicing the strategy of never letting anyone know too much about you, a survival rule that Machiavelli engraved into his bone. But what is the price of that mystery? Look to history to see the power of informational darkness. Queen Elizabeth I of England was the supreme master of using mystery to maintain power, while her advisors and courtiers constantly speculated and frantically argued over whom she would marry to secure the throne. Elizabeth always remained silent and ambiguous. She had no intimate friends to whom she could pour out her heart or share the secrets of her private life. By never revealing her true intentions, she turned herself into a frightening unknown that made even great powers like Spain and France wary. Afraid to make reckless moves, her informational solitude protected her from the most brutal overthrow plots, simply because no one could attack or sabotage a plan they knew nothing about. When you possess this rare trait, outsiders will look at you with hostility. They say you are scheming, hard to approach, or dishonest. The crowd craves transparency because they need a false sense of safety. They want you to expose every plan so they can easily control you or drag you down to the same level of mediocrity as themselves. But ignore their slander, because you feel an absolute sense of security, while others expose their weaknesses and shallowness with every word. You quietly keep your cards in your own hands and smirk. Machiavelli asserted, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few truly understand what you are." This is the very core of power. Conserving information is preserving your life. In everyday conversations, do not rush to share about yourself like a fool searching for sympathy. Instead, ask questions. Let other people ramble endlessly about their lives, while you simply gather data and keep your goals hidden. Having few friends means you do not have gaps that an opponent can exploit. Mystery creates natural authority without any need for display. When you do finally speak, your words will carry 10 times the weight because they are the result of the most careful filtering and calculation. Do not be a cheap radio broadcasting everything. Be a code that cannot be broken. If you have few or no friends, there is a very good chance that you possess this rare trait. And this strategy of silence is your shield of steel. Never feel guilty for not being sociable with people who love to gossip. Ask yourself, are you speaking to be understood? Or are you speaking to conceal your next great moves? Take an action that affirms your authority right now. Share this video directly to your newsfeed. Let the appearance of this content on your personal page be a silent but sharp message sent to those who are whispering against you, forcing them to feel the hidden authority you are holding. Let them wonder what you are plotting behind that ruthless silence. The one who holds the secrets is always the one who rules the game. Pragmatic thinking that rises above hypocritical moral standards. We are often taught that friendship is unconditional sacrifice, but in reality, it is often an exchange of interests wrapped in a layer of kindness. If you find it hard to connect with the majority, it may be because your instincts recognized this hypocrisy early on. You see the world through the eyes of a cold realist, where naked truth matters more than sweet words of comfort. Are you ready to admit that the real reason you have no friends is that you refuse to take part in the petty theater of social performance? Welcome to the fourth point, where we will bury these rosy illusions to honor pragmatic thinking that rises above hypocritical moral standards. If you possess this trait, you will feel a strange kind of liberation. You stand outside the crowd's debates about right and wrong because you find it absurd to watch people use self-deceiving moral rules to bind one another. You are not lonely. You are free in the real world. In modern social structures, the crowd is like a flock of sheep constantly trying to comfort one another with rosy moral values in order to hide their weakness and their deepest fear of reality. But look at how a leading wolf operates. It does not care what the sheep think about its cruelty when it hunts. It accepts the reality that survival demands decisiveness and ruthlessness. It sees the forest as a chessboard of resources, not as a place to seek sympathy or make friends. Once you accept leaving the sheep behind to live the life of a wolf, you begin to see that the crowd's hypocritical moral rules are nothing more than chains preventing you from reaching your ultimate goal. Human nature is selfish, yet people use morality as a smokescreen to demand that others sacrifice for their benefit. Machiavelli captured this harsh truth in one immortal line. The way men live is so far removed from the way they ought to live that anyone who tries to be good in every circumstance will soon be destroyed by those who are not good. If you have few or no friends, there is a very good chance that you possess this rare trait, Machiavelli, and that you have chosen to live with the truth instead of dying inside counterfeit kindness. Why should you try to fit in with people who constantly talk about loyalty but are ready to stab you in the back the moment they get the chance? Pragmatic thinking helps you strip away the deeper motives behind every action. Do not listen to what they say, look at what they gain. The more a person talks about morality, the more likely he is to deceive you in the most sophisticated way. To make use of this trait and stand at the summit of glory, you must learn to be decisive at the most critical moments. While others are still hesitating, afraid of public opinion, or worried about what people will think, you must make the ruthless but necessary moves required to seize the leading position. Always analyze the other side through the practical question: what does this action gain them, instead of trusting empty promises? Do not be afraid of being seen as cold. In a world full of hypocrites, your coldness is the most genuine form of honesty because it deceives no one. Truth is a weapon, and effectiveness is the only true measure of power. I want you to face a painful but necessary choice right now. Do you choose to be a kind person who is defeated, or a victorious ruler who is misunderstood? Leave the comment, I choose results, if you are ready to break the hypocritical moral chains that have been holding you back. Perform one small ritual from today on. Refuse one request that brings you no practical value. Without feeling guilty or offering a sweet explanation, remember, in the royal game of life, only the winner has the right to redefine morality. You possess this rare trait not to become evil, but to become someone who cannot be defeated. Always remind yourself the final objective matters more than all the shallow applause of the crowd. The ability to endure hatred to protect vision. Julius Caesar and Napoleon never rose to the top by pleasing everyone. The bitter truth is this: the greater the vision, the smaller the circle of friends. When you possess a goal that reaches far beyond the understanding of the crowd, you will be seen as arrogant or insane. Hatred and coldness are not failure. They are the first bricks used to build the fortress of a conqueror. Do you have enough courage to keep moving forward when no one is walking beside you? Or will you choose to step back just to be liked in mediocrity if you have few or no friends? There is a very good chance that you possess this rare trait, which is the ability to endure hatred to protect vision. Outsiders will judge you with the most negative words. They will say you are arrogant, stubborn, and predict that you will soon fail because you do not know how to listen. The crowd fears what it cannot control and hates those who dare to go against the herd. They use rejection as a tool to force you into submission, but Machiavelli taught us a ruthless lesson: it is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, being loved is a fragile emotion, easily changed by the direction of the wind. But fear and respect built on competence are eternal. Human nature craves safety in numbers. So when people see you moving forward alone, they feel threatened. Their hatred is actually a mirror reflecting their own cowardice. So when you are criticized, do not rush to explain yourself or make peace in a weak and submissive way. Become immune to social rejection. The only way to protect yourself is to focus absolutely on creating real results. Brilliant success is the sharpest slap across the face of those who whisper against you. Build an empire based on respect and competence rather than cheap compassion. When you lead through results, even those who once hated you will be forced into silence and submission at your feet. Look to mythology to see the price of power, to gain supreme wisdom and see through the future. Odin had to accept the sacrifice of one eye and hang himself upon the world tree Yggdrasil for 9 days and 9 nights, completely alone and enduring unbearable pain. The other gods may not have understood, and mortals may have feared his strangeness, but Odin accepted being seen as mad, as a strange being, in order to possess a vision that no one else could attain. This story reminds us that the crown of the one who leads is always forged from solitude, and the hatred of mediocre people who do not have the courage to pay the price for a great vision. I want you to ask yourself this: how much is the support of the crowd really worth? If it demands that you cut off your own wings, do not trade a great vision for temporary approval. Leave the comment, I accept the price, if you are ready to walk alone, to rule over all. Your journey does not need the company of the weak. Keep moving forward, because the summit has never belonged to the crowd. Immune to the trap of mass psychological manipulation, I once thought that standing alone in the world was a tragedy, until I looked deeply into the world out there and realized the crowd is precisely where a man's identity is put to death in the gentlest way. In the classic work, The Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli left behind a cold yet extremely accurate observation: the masses are always guided by appearances and deception. Human beings, when gathered into a herd, automatically let their tendency for independent thinking give way to the fear of being cast out. They lean on one another, borrow one another's approval, and unintentionally turn themselves into puppets that are easily manipulated by waves of trends, social prejudices, or hypocritical moral psychological traps. If you are someone who has very few or no friends, then you carry within you the fifth trait, an extremely rare and powerful trait, the ability to be completely immune to that trap of manipulation. When you accept standing outside social circles, you have stripped yourself of the pressure to fit in, the kind of pressure placed on a man's shoulders, telling him he must live according to a ready-made mold in order to be accepted by the crowd. You do not need to nod in agreement with a foolish opinion just to keep the peace at a drinking table. You do not need to chase the false standards of success that others draw up in order to feel that you have value. Solitude, from Machiavelli's perspective, is not a weakness, but a fortified defensive fortress that protects your perception. In the position of an outsider, you possess the privilege of being the only sober person in a theater full of drunk people. You see through the emotional manipulation tactics, the media crises, or the empty promises out there with a cold head and an objective pair of eyes. You are not swept away by the stream of people rushing after the majority, because you know clearly that the herd can give you a temporary feeling of safety, but it will also crush your self-governing will first. What is the greatest lesson Machiavelli leaves us through this lens? It is that a man's highest power lies in the ability to master his own mind. Understand this: having few friends does not mean you are isolated because of failure. It means you have actively chosen your own path, chosen to preserve your clarity so you do not become a chess piece in someone else's game. In a world where everyone fears solitude, the one who dares to stand alone to protect truth and independent thought is the strongest one, a practical ally filter, instead of accumulating relationships. We are living in an age where a man's value is often measured falsely by the number of contacts he has, his virtual interactions, or the width of his social network. I know there have been nights when you sat alone, looked at the busy stream of people out there, and asked yourself, am I becoming too lonely? But let me tell you a truth. Having very few friends is not a social failure, but a sign that you have activated an extremely mature and practical psychological filter, the core way of thinking that Niccolo Machiavelli distilled centuries ago. Machiavelli once presented a cold paradox in human nature. The one who is everyone's friend will ultimately be no one's friend. When you try to please everyone, you are breaking apart the most valuable resources in your lifetime: energy and trust. Crowd psychology points out that most accumulated relationships are based only on shallow exchanges or a false sense of safety. When the storm arrives and interests change, that vast network will immediately collapse. A person with Machiavellian thinking understands this deeply. They do not accumulate friends. They seek allies. Allies are different from friends in this way. They are bound together by respect for competence, transparency about interests, and loyalty tested through real action, not through praise at a drinking table. If you currently have an extremely small circle of relationships, it is because your filter is too strict. You would rather endure emptiness than accept people who could betray you for a small bit of petty gain. To turn this philosophy into power in real life, you need to practice 3 steps to remain confident in the path you have chosen. 1. Audit your social circle. Have the courage to look again at the people around you. Who pushes you forward with honesty, and who is only wasting your time with meaningless conversations. Being ready to cut off toxic or shallow relationships is exactly how you respect your own value. Upgrade your own core value. In a practical world, the best way to attract high-quality allies is that you must become a person of value. Do not search for connection desperately. Focus on your career, your intellect, and your inner strength. When you are strong enough, allies worthy of your level will naturally appear. Sam. Establish alliances based on fairness. When entering a cooperative relationship or a bond, be clear about the goals and expectations of both sides. Fairness and transparency are the strongest foundation for a lasting friendship between mature men. Having fewer meaningless gatherings and keeping a quiet space for yourself to see through the nature of human beings, that is real strength. Having few friends does not mean you are at a disadvantage. It means you have abandoned the children's game of quantity to step into the game of quality of a sovereign who knows how to rule his own kingdom. Stay confident, because your fortress may have few people, but they are all brave generals. Conclusion: the loneliness you are carrying is not a sentence, but a preparation for a greater power, as Machiavelli implicitly affirmed. Those who are capable of mastering themselves when no one is by their side are the ones who are hardest to defeat on the chessboard of power. Never lower your standards just to trade them for a seat at meaningless tables. You were created to observe, to understand, and to lead, not to dissolve into the faded crowd out there. I want you to look back on your journey. How many times have you chosen silence over a lie just to please others? Leave a comment below saying, "I choose the truth," or share a moment when you realized that your difference was a gift. That is not just a comment, but a declaration that you have officially stepped out of the flock and joined the ranks of those who have awakened. The journey to becoming a ruler in your own life does not end here. The truth is often bitter, but it is the only medicine that can keep you clear-minded in a world filled with falsehood. If you are ready to forge a sharp mind and a heart of steel, hit subscribe and join us. We do not need the masses. We only need those who dare to face the true nature of human beings. I will see you at the summit, where there is room only for those who dare to walk alone.